Hello, today we're going to be making some fall inspired earrings. This is my dried flower collection I have currently. I dry them from my garden, and these are the ones I picked to make these earrings. I wanted fall colors, so I did some yellows and creams, green, and like darker reds. So this is what I had personally dried, but I'll show you in a minute where I felt like I needed some more colors, so I brought some out that I got from Amazon. So this, I'm just crumbling them up into very little pieces. The mold we'll be using is a dangle earring mold, and it's small, so you need really small pieces to get them into the mold. And then this, I'm just cutting up with my little seam ripper scissors from my sewing machine, just cutting them into very fine pieces. You could try to use scissors for this, but you know how sometimes scissors tips aren't very sharp? So it kind of just depends on what scissors you're using. But this worked out really well, and I got it into very fine pieces. And then I even tore up some of the little pieces of the stem to add different textures. And then took the leaves right off the rose and crumbled them up. It's much easier to crumble a leaf than it is the flower petals because they just dry crisper. So this is actually kind of therapeutic. It's a lot of fun to just crumble them up. This mixture that I'm making will make a lot of earrings. I'm just showing you a 4 pair that it'll make, but it can make a ton more. I had a lot left after I was done. So then when we are done crumbling this, I'll show you what else I'm going to add to it. This really is therapeutic. You should try it. So these are the bags of dried flowers I was telling you I get from Amazon. And it comes in a big pack of these. You get a lot of different bags. And I just chose 3 that I thought would suit these fall earrings. This is kind of a reddish color. Almost has a pink hue, but it's mostly red. And then this is just a darker color that I felt like the earrings needed since it's fall. You could also go out in your yard and just collect different color leaves, make sure they're dried all the way, and you could add those into here as well. Then this is a burnt orange type color. These smell so good. I was like, here, smell it. You should try to get these from Amazon. They do smell good. So you just go ahead and crumble it all into pieces. I love what the burnt orange did to this mix. I feel like it completed it. And then these were kind of sharp, so I had to be careful, and I just tore them manually because they were kind of sharp. It's a very hard flower when it's dried. So look how beautiful this is. Okay, so here's the mold I chose. You can use any mold you want. It really doesn't matter. You could even make some coasters or a beautiful tray out of this as well. So you can use this flower mixture for anything, but we're going to make some dangle earrings with it today. I'm putting some UV resin directly into the bottom of the mold. You could do epoxy resin too. It just would, you'd have to have them set overnight if you do that. So for UV resin, I just put it along the bottom, and I see how there's like a gap. I wanted to make sure that was completely filled in. And then get any bubbles out. I take a toothpick and then a lighter, but for this, the bubbles were gone when I moved around the toothpick, so I didn't need to use the lighter. So now I'm just going to start with the resin on my toothpick, dipping it into the flowers and bringing it over. And you could put as much or as little as you want, but I wanted a lot because this was this, and I'm going to put some copper foil in it, and that's the only things I'm adding, so I wanted a lot in there. And if you're making a pair of earrings, I just kind of try to make sure I have a similar vibe going for each one. That way they still sort of match. They don't have to match perfectly, but just sort of match. And then if you want to get really technical, you can fill in all the gaps with little tiny flowers, which that's what I did. I'm actually taking these to my shop because I need some more fall earrings. I'm running low, and I wanted something that I could do pretty quickly because I have a birthday party this weekend for my girls, and I didn't have a lot of time, so I just wanted to do something I could do quick. So this is actually copper foil. I use gold foil a lot, but for fall things, I just feel like this is, it fits the vibe well. So just put some copper foil here and there. You could put them as big pieces or little pieces as you want. And then I also put some at the top there because I didn't really want the clear to be on top of the jump ring part. I wanted it to have something too. And then just add that here and there. So this I'm showing you, if you take some little bits of those flowers and add them around the jump ring part, it won't leave a gap there, because it'll kind of look like a gap at the top if you just leave it clear. Then put it under the UV light for a minute, and then we're going to add some clear UV resin as a top layer as well. That's going to also kind of dome your piece for you as well. Just bring it to the top of the mold and do it very carefully so you don't overfill it. I'm doing it a little bit at a time. And then take your toothpick and just work the UV resin around where that jump ring is going to go, because a lot of times the resin doesn't want to work its way up there. And then I like to use the toothpick to move around the edges of the piece too, just to make sure it's nice and even. But that UV resin has a hard time working its way around that jump ring, so the toothpick definitely helps. And you can tell they're already looking so pretty. I'm using a lighter to pop the top bubbles, and then I waited. It looks faster, but I waited a minute to let that cool down, and then I put it under the UV resin for a minute. So I've already started these because it's the same process. I've put UV resin in and then put some flower petals, and then I'm putting some little tiny petals around that jump ring again so that it's not gonna have a gap. It just looks better that way, I think. And then I'm crumbling some of these little tiny ones. These will be a separate dangle as well, but you can use those and attach them to one of these other pairs, and it looks cute that way too. So just put your top layer of UV resin on and smooth it out. And you know what I did? I forgot to put some copper foil in these other 3 pairs. So copper foil is only in that long pair, but that's okay. They still turned out pretty. Then once you're done, you put it under the UV light for about 3 minutes. And then what I like to do is turn the entire mold over and then put it under the UV resin light for like 2 more minutes. And that's just going to help it cure all the way through. And they really turned out beautiful. They definitely look fall. I love how they turned out. And these are usually a bestseller when I make them like this. So I'm glad that I made some more, and I need to make some more too. And I'm going to take them to the shop. Fall earrings are always a bestseller. They really are. Like, I think fall time's a lot of people's favorite season, and they just love fall things. So take your jump ring, put it in, and put your earring hook in, and then close it up. And these jump rings, they're a little flimsy, but I have to use them because they're bigger and they fit in the piece. So what I usually like to do is just put a little drop of UV resin there and cure it, and it'll make sure that jump ring doesn't go anywhere. They really did turn out beautiful. Do you like it with the copper foil or without? Let me know in the comments. I had to bring you outside because I couldn't get the beauty of them from my light inside, so I wanted to show you in the natural light. I think they're so pretty. I left the sounds of nature on there for you. Please like and subscribe and have a blessed day.